What is awareness, and how does it shape our reality? This is one of the most important questions ever explored, and for thousands of years, ancient yogis, mystics, and hierophants have passed this teaching down through every mystery school of thought. And they all point to the same understanding. Awareness is the silent witness behind every thought, every emotion, and every experience and physical sensation. It is the knowing that became aware of itself, and in that awareness, it began the process of realization. All of this points back to the very foundation of existence. In the beginning, there was light, and that light was awareness itself existing within emptiness, darkness, and nothingness. This knowing gave birth to consciousness, and that knowing became a living being, what spiritual teachings call the Source or God. Each and every one of us is a fragment of that living being. We exist as a wave of possibilities, and that is what the soul is. A possibility of every experience, emotion, and thought the mind could ever conceive. Realizing this brings you to a deeper truth, that your human experience is nothing new to you. This is what happens during meditation. We become one with every wave of possibility by collapsing all dimensions into a single reality, existing in all of them simultaneously. This is why during meditation, we're able to observe our own thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Think of awareness as an ocean of events, possibilities, thoughts, and actions, and the soul as a single wave within that ocean. There is no real difference between awareness and the soul. When we speak of these two, we're really speaking of the same being. But when we try to understand consciousness from the lens of individuality, the soul becomes the more useful word. It's simply easier for the limited mind to grasp. Man is made of three bodies: the etheric body, the mental body, and the physical body. And awareness is what creates the experience of all three. Awareness itself exists on a higher dimension because awareness is undivided. It has no individuality of its own, which is exactly why it remains out of reach for the limited mind. When a soul incarnates into this material realm, it becomes trapped in a body, not because the body itself is a trap, but because the mind is fragmented. The mind operates under the law of duality, yin and yang. We all arrive here with the full capacity of the soul in a pure state of consciousness. Spiritual teachings often say that souls forget who they are upon arrival, but that's not entirely true. Without consciousness, there is no existence. An object can only exist once it has been observed. This means consciousness is what creates reality, and every experience is simply part of the journey. Every child enters this world with the full capacity of the soul, but in order to control that child's consciousness, the mind has to be programmed, made aware of itself through labels and a false identity. That's where your name comes from, your religion, your nationality, and this is exactly what limits our human experience. Every thought, action, emotion, and experience you move through in life has already been written by the soul. You are both the author and the actor of your own life. You write the story and you play the part. This is what life truly is, a movie, a play. Everyone who has ever had a near-death experience describes the same realization that from the other side, reality looks like a performance where we are all playing roles for the sake of experience, for the lessons those roles offer. But instead of becoming the observer of their own story, most people identify themselves as the character in the movie. And this is exactly what limits awareness. People spend their entire lives trapped in overthinking, anxiety, depression, fear, worry, doubt, and insecurity, never realizing these aren't even their own thoughts. They're spells cast by the movie itself. Think about how you feel after watching a sad film or a horror movie. You feel it, don't you? Life works the same way. Deep down, you know the movie isn't real. The actors are simply being paid to entertain you. But the moment you identify as the character in the story, you limit your own awareness. You're no longer experiencing the full spectrum of the film, only the narrow slice conditioned by the limited mind. But the moment you stop identifying with the character, something remarkable happens. You realize the fragmentation of the mind exists to create friction and contrast. Think about it. How would you feel watching a movie with no villain, no hero? It would be unbearably boring. Life works the same way. The idea of God and the devil exists to create contrast, but religion teaches us to hate one and devote ourselves to the other. This creates a kind of conditioning where you identify with one side and reject the other, swinging back and forth like a pendulum between two poles. And here's the thing, any form of rejection or resistance is still a form of identification. When you watch a movie for entertainment, no matter what plays out on screen, you know none of it is real. Life works the exact same way. None of it is real. And by rejecting any part of it, you give it power over your emotions and your state of being, simply because your own perception has made it real, and now it has the power to hurt you. This is why people experience negativity, not because it's inherently bad, but because they resist it. They deny its right to exist in an attempt to protect themselves from the emotions attached to it, never realizing that life is only a movie and no part of it can ever touch awareness itself. Anxiety, depression, insecurity, fear, worry, self-doubt, these are all illusions of the mind. The moment this truth lands, you understand their real purpose was never to hurt you. It was to create contrast and to bring the unknown into consciousness. Every time you feel discomfort, anxiety, or pain, it's a sign you've entered the realm of the unknown. It feels uncomfortable because the fragmented mind will always cling to what's familiar over what it hasn't yet learned. This part of the human psyche is known as the ego. The ego constantly seeks control over every outcome, every situation, because deep down it's afraid of being vulnerable. It fears the unknown, so it wears a mask of power and control. But in reality, nothing moves in a straight line. The movie doesn't work that way. It needs contrast to be engaging, to be entertaining.
Our deepest struggles, the discomfort, the pain, setbacks, are exactly what make our breakthroughs something to be proud of. Without the struggle, that spark of fulfillment disappears entirely. Imagine you took an exam and failed, while a friend of yours took the same exam and passed. You'd feel disappointed, wouldn't you? Meanwhile, your friend feels proud. You both sat the same exam, but only one of you was fully engaged in the process. Only one of you was willing to risk the discomfort in order to feel the comfort of happiness on the other side. That contrast is what makes the story. Now, imagine one of those friends wanted only the comfort, only the happiness, without ever risking the discomfort. The very discomfort they tried so hard to avoid becomes the state they end up living in. This is what happens when we refuse to fully participate in life's contrast, identifying with one part of it while rejecting the rest. We end up governed by its natural laws instead of moving freely through them. Think of the universal laws as a manual built into the simulation, there to guide creation and physical manifestation, while awareness itself is the ingredient that makes creation possible in the first place. There would be no reality at all if nothing were conscious of it. Quantum entanglement speaks to exactly this, the observer and the observed. Reality is a vast field of energy, and space and time are simply illusions of the limited mind. From where the mind stands, everything appears separate. The mind can't grasp the full vastness of existence because it's conditioned to operate within duality, which means, from the level of the mind, we're not truly seeing what's happening behind the curtain. Every thought, emotion, action, and experience has an underlying cause. And understanding this, you begin to realize you're not even your body. Your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, these are signals emitted from a much larger field, one the human senses can only partially pick up on. Nothing exists separately or independently. We are all part of one vast field of energy, the quantum field. Some call this field God, others call it Source. Whatever name you choose, it points to the same truth. We are not separate from one another. And this is how you begin to tap into your own awareness. The moment you step back from society's conditioning around right and wrong, good and evil, and return to full acceptance of all that is, something extraordinary happens. The friction and contrast that once felt like a prison become a dynamic instead. You stop struggling against the rise and fall of things and start enjoying the new lessons your story has to offer. Yes, the story was written before birth, but the lessons themselves are new to the mind. They help the mind discover what's possible and what isn't. The mind is limited, and we came here to break that limitation, to show the world something it never believed was possible. Now, let's move into the spiritual practices that will help you tap into your awareness. The first is acceptance. So many people spend their entire lives judging others, their morals, their behavior, their way of living, their culture, even the government and those in power because of how the world is run. The moment you judge something outside yourself and project dislike toward it, you create a fracture within your own consciousness. Your conscious mind might accept this behavior because it can only perceive so much of reality, but your subconscious mind operates very differently. It doesn't distinguish between you as the observer and what you're observing. The subconscious operates from the level of the quantum field itself.
You may not realize it, but when you judge others, you are in truth judging yourself, projecting dislike onto your own reflection. Think of everything outside you as a mirror of your own subconscious, your potential, and who you could become, while who you are right now is defined by how you choose to express yourself. If you keep judging people's character and morals, projecting dislike toward them, you feed more attention into that hate because you perceive them as separate from you. That constant reactivity generates intense emotion, and your subconscious picks up on it, drawing similar experiences toward you, trying to show you that they are, in fact, part of you. They are the missing piece in the story your soul has written, and you are the one conscious of it. Remember, consciousness creates reality. Nothing exists as an object until it's observed. So what happens when you stop judging people, when you stop projecting hate and dislike onto them? You realize the whole experience was a movie you wrote yourself, meant to entertain you and teach you something new. This is what full acceptance feels like. This is what awareness truly is. A state with no conditioning, no labels, no attachments, no desires. A state of complete wholeness where you are nothing and everything, all at once. The next practice is meditation. The Buddha taught that mental discipline, cultivated through mindfulness and a right concentration, is the path to ending suffering. When we meditate, we bring awareness back to ourselves and become conscious of the mind's activity without becoming entangled in it. In that moment, we've stepped back from the movie on the screen and become its observer. This is why meditation matters so much. It lets us truly see ourselves. Through that observation, we come to know ourselves, and knowing ourselves helps us understand, on a much deeper level, the story our soul wrote before we were born. People don't struggle in life because they're incapable or lacking. They struggle because they're forcing something that isn't aligned with the plan their soul made before birth. No soul incarnates without first writing its own story, which means there's no gap in reality left for you to fill on your own terms. Either you walk the path your soul chose, or you keep meeting resistance and obstacles. This is how meditation brings you back to yourself, back into alignment with your soul's contract. Next on the list is fasting. The body relies on food, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins as fuel, breaking them down into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to power every cell. Carbohydrates break down into glucose, your body's fastest source of energy, fueling your brain, your nervous system, and your active muscles, while any extra glucose gets stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles ready for high-intensity effort. Fats, on the other hand, are stored as a dense, long-lasting energy reserve, fueling your body during rest and low-intensity activity, so your body can save carbs for the harder moments. Protein is mainly used to build and repair tissue, and your body only turns to it for energy during prolonged exercise or when carbohydrate stores run very low. Understanding this helps you see that your body already stores what it needs for later. But most people consume far more than your body can actually use. 3 meals a day, sometimes more. There's nothing inherently wrong with eating 3 meals a day, but how much you're feeding your body matters. When you give it more than it can process, that excess turns into toxins the body simply can't convert into usable energy.
Over time, this shifts your internal pH toward acidity instead of balance, and that imbalance sits at the root of most disease and illness, often showing up as excess mucus in the body. Fasting isn't about depriving yourself. It's about building a closer relationship with your own body, learning to understand its language and its rhythm. The body is the vessel that houses consciousness, and when its internal state falls out of balance, it shapes how you perceive reality itself through your nervous system and your five senses. My advice? Fast daily. Intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful spiritual practices you can offer your body, and trust me, it will thank you for it. And finally, taking positive action. So much of the depression, anxiety, and overthinking people carry comes from one place. They aren't proud of themselves or of the life they're living. They blame God or something outside themselves for their troubles, a way of excusing their own inaction toward the life they actually want. So instead, they seek comfort in physical pleasure and sensation, never realizing they're living inside a movie they wrote themselves. God or Source was never something separate from you. You are the very instrument through which it expresses itself. You created the life you're living right now, whether consciously or not. We are the authors of our own stories, and taking positive action can transform how you experience yours, turning it into something you're fully engaged in, fully learning from. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one step, and the next will reveal itself. Remember, this is all a movie your soul wrote before birth, even right now as you're watching this video. As we come to the close of this teaching, remember this: your life was never something happening to you. It was always something you were creating through your thoughts and your perception of reality. And the moment you return to yourself, to the here, to the now, to this present moment, you'll see the whole point was always to entertain you and to offer your mind new lessons, new experience. If you found value in this video, hit subscribe to stay updated on more content like this. We cover manifestation, spiritual awakening, inner transformation, esoteric knowledge, Gnostic teachings, and self-reflection. And if you'd like to go deeper, check out my playlist, Journey of the Soul, where I've compiled videos to help guide you along your spiritual path. So tell me, what struck a chord in you? Drop it in the comments. And if this resonated, leave a like. It helps the algorithm put this content in front of more people walking the same path as you. Thank you for watching.